Once, in a quiet valley nestled between towering mountains, there stood a grand oak tree. This oak had watched over the valley for centuries, its branches stretching wide and proud, its roots deeply anchored in the earth. Its leaves, green and vibrant in the spring, would turn golden in autumn, yet the oak never once hurried the passage of time. It simply existed, rooted in the present, embracing each moment as it came. But one day, a great storm began to brew on the horizon. The wind howled like a beast, and the sky grew dark with clouds thick enough to swallow the sun. The valley's inhabitants, small creatures of the forest, gathered to seek shelter, knowing the storm would be fierce. Among the creatures was a young squirrel named Kori. Kori had spent the summer gathering nuts, but with the approach of the storm, the thought of losing everything filled her with fear. She scampered up to the oak tree, seeking advice from the wise old tree who had weathered many storms before. "Oak," Kori called, her voice trembling, "this storm will be unlike any we've ever seen. Will you survive it? What should I do if the winds blow away my home?" The oak's ancient branches swayed gently in the wind, its leaves rustling softly. "Fear not, young one," the oak responded, its deep voice calm and steady. "The storm may come, but it will pass, as all storms do. Just as I have withstood countless storms before, you too will find your way through this one." "But how?" Kori asked, confusion clouding her small face. "How do you stand so still in the face of something so powerful?" The oak chuckled softly. "I stand still because I trust the process of time. I do not fear the storm, for I know it is a part of life. I do not rush to avoid it, but I persist through it with patience." Kori looked up at the mighty tree, its bark weathered by time, its branches bending but never breaking. "But it seems so hard. I am afraid I will lose everything." The oak paused as if pondering the question. "Tell me, Kori," the oak asked, "have you ever seen a seed grow into a tree in a single day? Or a river carved through stone in a moment?" Kori thought for a moment, shaking her head. "No, of course not. It takes time." "Exactly," the oak continued. "Just as a seed must wait patiently to sprout, and the river must slowly shape the land, we too must be patient. The storm may test us, but persistence and patience are the roots of our strength. Do not worry about the immediate struggle. Instead, trust that through each challenge, you are becoming stronger. As I have weathered storms for centuries, so too will you grow through every trial." Kori sat for a while, listening to the oak's wisdom. She watched the storm grow closer, yet instead of fear, a sense of calm washed over her. She knew she would not be spared the storm's fury, but she understood now that it was not the storm itself that mattered, but how she chose to face it. As the wind picked up and the first raindrops began to fall, Kori scurried to her home. But unlike before, she no longer feared losing everything. She took the oak's lesson to heart, knowing that patience would guide her through this storm and the next. And so, the storm raged through the valley, fierce and unrelenting, yet the oak stood firm, its roots deep in the soil, waiting for the storm to pass, just as it always had. I hope this story brings a sense of peace and encouragement to you. Sometimes we just need to remind ourselves that growth takes time, and through patience and persistence, we'll reach the strength we need to overcome life's challenges. You're doing amazing. Just keep going. If this story inspired you, take a moment to reflect on your own journey. What challenges are you patiently persisting through? Share your thoughts in the comments below. I'd love to hear your story. Remember, every storm passes, and every step you take brings you closer to your goals. Stay resilient and let your roots grow deeper with every challenge you face. Let's learn some interesting words from this story. Resilient, meaning able to recover quickly. Example, the oak remained resilient through the storm. Persistent, meaning continuing despite challenges. Example, Kori's persistent questions showed her curiosity. Majestic, meaning beautiful and dignified. Example, the majestic oak stood tall in the valley. Tranquil, meaning calm and peaceful. Example, the valley was tranquil after the storm. Ominous, meaning threatening or foreboding. Example, the ominous clouds warned of a storm. Wisdom, meaning knowledge from experience. Example, the oak shared its wisdom with Kori. Endure, meaning to withstand difficulties. Example, the oak endured the strong winds. Radiant, meaning bright and glowing. Example, the valley looked radiant in the sunlight. Shelter, meaning protection from harm or weather. Example, Kori found shelter under the oak. Hopeful, meaning feeling optimistic. Example, Kori felt hopeful as the storm cleared. Subscribe to Fairy Tale Spell for more stories that inspire growth, mindfulness, and self-discovery. Let's create a world where everyone learns to celebrate their own light.